Hey, everybody. I am beyond humbled to be hosting an interview with Olympic athletes and Paralympic athletes, past and present. And so I wanted to give Jim, Josh, and Mckenzie a chance to tell a little bit of their Olympic or Paralympic experiences and medals that they've gotten, and a little bit of history to start off this interview. So Jim, we'll start with you.
Great. Well, I played in the 1980 Olympic Games in Lake Placid. My sport was ice hockey. We were gold medalists. Back then, you had to be an amateur all the time. So I was only fortunate enough to play in one Olympic Games, but it was a wonderful opportunity to represent our country.
All right, Josh, next.
My name is Josh Turek. Wheelchair basketball is my sport. 4-time Paralympian. Bronze medalist from London, gold medalist from Rio, and now 2-time gold medalist from Tokyo.
Yeah, I know. That's insane. Yeah, I had the honor of interviewing Josh and Mckenzie before they left when they were still at the training center in Colorado, and we were, who could have imagined that this would be the result? So super excited. Okay, Mckenzie, last but not least.
Thanks, Karen. Hi, everyone. I'm Mckenzie Cohen. I am a Paralympic swimmer. I've been to 3 games. I went to London 2012, Rio in 2016, and just got back from Tokyo. I'm now a 6-time Paralympic medalist, so I was able to pick these up while I was there, in addition to my 4 from Rio. So very, very excited.
Wow, insane. Yeah. I got to watch, the videos, and you cried during the national anthem, and just, it was beautiful. Okay, so we'll start with a question for Josh and Mckenzie. Mckenzie, we'll go with you first. It's a 2-part question. So how are you feeling after the Paralympics, which I can kind of see, like the permanent smile that's plastered on your face, which is contagious. And then I am quite sure that this Olympic experience was more challenging than most. And if you wouldn't mind kind of explaining that to us, kind of what you experienced, because I think it's hard for us to imagine.
Absolutely. Well, first off, I think my face probably shows that. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I'm on cloud 9. I have been ever since I got back. I think I smiled the entire 12-hour flight back, even when I was asleep. And I feel like even halfway through the flight, I reached down to my bag and I just felt that my medals were there. I was like, oh my gosh, it actually happened. I didn't just dream that. So the entire experience was really incredible. And obviously it was a different games than any other before. But Japan, I have so much gratitude for them. They put on an incredible games, as normal as it possibly could have been. The volunteers, they were all so friendly. I remember this very distinctively. Every time we would get on a bus at the transportation mall to go to the pool and come back, there would be people greeting us and cheering us on as we left. They tried to make it such a special experience and something that we remember for a lifetime, even in the midst of circumstances that we've never been faced with before. So the facilities, the village, everything was absolutely beautiful. And, really the only difference was not having spectators there was certainly a different experience. But just having all the volunteers there to cheer us on, I felt like there were people there actually. So I felt like it was an incredible experience, and they really gave us the best of the best.
That's nice to hear. That is very nice to hear. Josh, what was yours like?
Well, how I'm feeling, I just got off the plane about midnight last night, so I'm feeling completely jet lagged. That's for sure. But incredibly happy and satisfied, to end up with one of these. It just symbolizes all the hard work and dedication that goes into it. And for me, I guess it's a little bittersweet at the moment too, because this was the end for me. This was my last basketball game, my last time wearing a USA uniform. So it's although I'm incredibly happy, it's also, the athlete dies to death. So, I'm processing all of that, but I finished the right way with USA across the chest and gold medal around my neck, had the stars and stripes around me. It was the perfect finish. So, like I I said, incredibly filled with really joy and gratitude right now is how I feel.
Yeah. And do you think that it was the challenges impacted you and the team during
Yeah, this is, as Mckenzie mentioned, this was a very different Paralympic experience. I will give a lot of credit to, as she mentioned, to the Japanese people were incredibly kind and amazing. But normally we're used to playing in front of 20,000 people and jam packed, really loud with our family and our friends there. The basketball gym was like a church. I mean, when I'm on the free throw line, there was a couple games where I'm on the free throw line down, up by one, got to make the free throws. You could hear a pin drop in there. A very, very different experience as well. We ended up with some difficulty with some close contact, and so we ended up going into full quarantine. We weren't able to go out into Tokyo, interact with people, and we were locked down to our rooms. It was very, very different. I think that it affected us. I don't see how it can't, because ultimately we're just human beings, and athletes are kind of creatures of habit, and anything that interferes in that process is going to affect you, whether negatively or positively. But I think the beauty of our team is we were such a veteran group and such a strong group that even though we had difficulties, and we had real difficulties throughout it, we lost the game to GB. We had the game against Germany and the game against Turkey, the quarterfinal game. Those were neck and neck games. In the gold medal game, we were down by 5 with 5 minutes to go. Any of those games could have gone a different direction for us, but we were just that veteran group that we never got rattled, and we just thrived under the pressure, and we found a way to come through. Everybody had a moment, whether that was an entire game or whether that was a micro moment, and it was just a really beautiful thing to be a part of.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. That everybody kind of had a moment, and the team was like a well-oiled machine. But yeah, it was never guaranteed, so it was exciting to watch. So Jim, how did you feel getting to watch some of these Paralympic games? And I'm sure that brings back memories for you, both good and bad. Obviously, probably more good than bad, but I'd like to hear about that.
Well, first, it's inspiring, it's energizing, and it's really humbling to see these great Olympians, Paralympians do their thing. What it brings back for me is all of us athletes having dreams and having the opportunity to compete against the best athletes in the world. And when I think back, I think of the spirit of the competition, never giving up, always trying to be the best athlete, because you're an individual sport, or the best team. So to me, it's all good memories. And because in order to become an Olympian and to make that team is an incredible amount of hard work and determination and a lot of sacrifices. But all these sacrifices are not just made by us. They're made by our coaches, our parents, our family members, and communities. So for me, it was really great to see these athletes compete and get the recognition that they deserve. And for all the pioneers who put in all that hard work, it was great to see the sport really flourish.
Thank you. So let's see. Josh explained how different it was even leading up to the Olympics when they were training. They weren't able to train together as a team, and they had to work out differently than they did. You got to experience normal, I guess, when the world was normal, kind of in 1980. But how do you think that would have impacted your team in the day if you could apply like today's situation to your experience?
Well, I think Josh said it great. He had a veteran team, and so for us, we were a team developing. We were brand new, so I think it would have had a great deal of impact on us. But like athletes and circumstance, you have to be agile and you have to be willing to adjust. But obviously, the style of play, the type of camaraderie we would need to have in the locker room, that would have been all different. But the part that would have been the same is all the other athletes would have been put in the same situation. So Josh's point about being an experienced team, I'm sure, had a great deal of a positive influence.
Thank you. So Josh, this kind of is where this intersects in a very interesting way, because you mentioned in a previous interview that you were inspired by a quote from Jim. And I'd like you to kind of expand on that and explain to us why it was that quote that kind of resonated with you, and then, what that means to you now.
Yeah, we had just recently come back from doing a training camp in Lake Placid, where obviously is where the Miracle on Ice took place. And there they have up on the wall of the training center his quote of never let your memories be bigger than your dreams. And that just really resonated with me, as an athlete, of just always strive for more, to be greater. And yeah, honestly, I loved being there in Lake Placid. We had visited the ice rink where they were, and I had mentioned to Jim as well that his entire goalkeeping set is there at the Olympic and Paralympic Museum, and honestly, it was inspiring to me. Truthfully, I even actually, before we left to go to Tokyo, I rewatched that movie Miracle because it just gives me goosebumps. And it just really reinforces to me what it means to represent the USA and teamwork and hard work and sacrifice and all the above, and ultimately to do all of that with a group of individuals to come together to become a team and brothers, really, and ultimately to win the gold. It meant a lot to me, and it does. I love that quote.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, isn't that an interesting that we're all here together, sort of, and the way that this all played out. That's probably no accident, but really cool. Mckenzie, so you were full of joy on our pre-interview. Like, I could feel you and Josh and just your excitement and energy leading up to it. I had goosebumps during the entire interview because I could feel it through the camera. Did that continue for you as you traveled and competed throughout the experience? And has it sunk in yet?
Yeah, it's crazy because I can remember getting on the plane. We flew out to Japan and we had a week-long training camp at the Yokota Air Force Base before we went over to the village. And there was this moment on the plane right before we took off where I think it kind of all just hit me at once. I was like, I get to go compete at my third Paralympic Games. If I had tried to sit down and tell 16-year-old Mckenzie this, back in the day, back in 2012, that I would be on my way to my third Games, I don't know if I would have believed you. So I just felt so proud and so honored that I get to go and represent my country again. And then this time around was really special for me because I was team captain. So I got to serve my team, Team USA, in a completely different way this time. And I don't think I've ever been, obviously going up on the podium and winning a gold medal is a really incredible feeling. But to be able to offer something like that and be honored by being a captain is something I'll never forget. And it's something I do not take lightly. I remember I was voted captain and I went back to my room and I was alone. I shut the door. This was at the Air Force Base and I cried for a good 10 minutes. I just felt so proud and so happy. And I never knew that I would get that opportunity. So that to me was really incredible. And I took that energy into games. So we spent our week at the Air Force Base training and I kind of, was getting used to the captain role and taking things over there. And I remember as we were pulling into the village, I just it is time. It is time to go shock the world. It is time to go show them that after 5 years of training this time around that we are ready to do this. And that's exactly what Team USA went out and did. And I've never been so proud. And I feel like I've never taken in a games and an experience that much in my life. So I finally feel like after my third Games, I got the full experience and I've let it sunk in. So I've been back for 2 days. It's still kind of sinking in. My smile will probably get bigger and bigger as we go on, if you can believe that. But it feels amazing.
Well, you're a leader. I mean, you're a natural born leader, and that doesn't surprise me one bit. Okay, so this is for Jim. There was a drastic increase in national coverage for the Paralympics. do you think the increased attention from mainstream media and the use of Paralympic athletes in corporate advertising, like how does that feel for you? What do you think about it?
Well, there's been so much hard work from all the past Paralympians that were the pioneers of the sport. And, forever, it's never been that they weren't the greatest athletes at their sport, or they didn't put in the same amount of work. They did all that. It was an awareness thing. And so I'm thrilled at being part of New Motion and trying to create awareness, not only during the Olympic Games or the Paralympic Games, but all the time. And so with this awareness and all this hard work, they finally got the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah, 100% agree. That's it was. I think it was Josh that said in our pre-interview. I had no idea that that the reimbursement was not the same for a Paralympic athlete as an Olympic athlete until this year. Correct. That's correct. Yeah. Well, coming from a wheelchair user that has absolutely no talent whatsoever, attempted wheelchair tennis at some point in the past. I had 3 kids. It's not a really good excuse because I wasn't good at sports when I could walk. So it's really, but there's all that natural talent and all of the sacrifice, the extensive sacrifice that any athlete gives up, the things they give up in their life to become that level, to end up a Paralympic athlete. And as many times as you guys have been there and all the medals that you've gotten, I'm thrilled that you're finally getting the recognition that you deserve, and so happy for you.
But not only that, the things that Mckenzie and Josh have done is they've inspired young men and women, or older men and women, and young boys and girls, to dream that dream that they had and realize that dream can become a reality. And so not only is that awareness that they can compete, but now they can help coach, they can educate, they can continue to prove the equipment. New Motion does an incredible job at making sure that what you need fits you and is properly used. And so this is all great things that are ahead.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so this is for each of you, and I guess I'll start with Mckenzie. What are the long-term lessons that you've learned from your Paralympic or Olympic experiences that you use in your everyday life? What principles do you apply when you're making decisions just in everyday decisions? Mckenzie, we'll start with you.
I think one of the biggest things, I've always chosen to live my life without limits. Like, I decided that at a really young age, but even just seeing other people competing with their own disabilities has really reinforced that in me. And I think about that all the time. The things that I'm lucky enough to witness, we have classifications where you might have an athlete who is literally racing with just one limb. And I remember the first time I saw that when I was younger, and it just reinforced it for me. Limits don't exist unless you allow them to. And so I'm surrounded by all these incredible athletes from around the world. And I feel like that influences me all the time. And then also on the other side of it, I think going into a Paralympic Games and competing, you have pressure on you like never before. You have expectations, you have pressure, you have all kinds of things that you have to deal with, and you have to show up with confidence. Like, you can't go out there and doubt yourself. Before I step on the block, I want to make sure that I have confidence and, I'm positive thoughts, positive thinking, and I'm able to reflect on all the hard work that I put on to get there. And I think things like that really translate into the rest of your life. These are things that I've learned that I will take with me to law school and then hopefully in a courtroom one day. And it's life lessons from my teammates, how to persevere through things, how to work through challenges. I think I can take all those different things from competing in Paralympic sport, and especially competing at the games, into my everyday life and live by those things. And I think when I look back on what, one day when I retire and I look back on what I'm most grateful for, obviously it'll be the relationships, but the things that I've learned that I'll take in to every aspect of my life.
Yeah, that's a lesson that you were lucky to learn so young, because it took me many, many, many years to learn that. And I think for a lot of people, they're much older, with or without a disability, before they realize that you really can do anything you put your mind to, and that it's believing that you can do it. And you're halfway there. Josh, do you remember the question? You want to repeat it?
No, it's okay. I think that the great takeaways from the sport that translate to my everyday life, I know it's cliche, but it's that the hard work pays off. And it's that if you put the time in, the results will come on the backside. The discipline and dedication that it takes to be great at something, whatever that is. For me, my craft was wheelchair basketball and shooting. I know that if I put that same dedication and discipline into any other field, my job, my relationships, those same results will come. I say it all the time to kids, but it's about falling in love with the process of becoming great. And I think that translates to sports, to business, to anything. That, if you get up to that 10,000 hours of practice at anything, you will become great at it.
Yeah. And it's hard to remember that when you lose a game or when you're exhausted and, day after day, and those, you guys had those really close games where, could have gone either way, and you persevered. And
it's in those moments. That's where your confidence comes from. It's that repetition. It's that practice. For me, that was, I knew every single day I had shot that shot 1,000 times, every day shooting 1,000 times. So I go into a game and that confidence is there because I've done it so many times. It's that hard work, it's that every single day, those percentage points that add up to becoming great.
Beautiful thing. Jim?
Sure. Well, what I've learned through athletics is winning is hard. It's really, really difficult. And there's a difference between preparing to compete and preparing to win. And so it starts by having a dream and then getting a plan and getting organizing. But it also, you realize that you're part of something bigger than yourself, and that you need an awful lot of people to help you get to where you want to go. And if you acknowledge those sacrifices that not only you make, but other people. See, I never thought when I was preparing for the Olympic Games that I was making sacrifices. I always thought I was given opportunities. And so as an athlete and a person who was lucky enough to represent our country, it wasn't me making the sacrifices. It was the Olympic Committee, the coaches, the parents. All I had to do was take advantage of the opportunity. So I really believe in life you have to have a moral compass, and you have to stick by that. But one of my favorite quotes is, the impossible becomes possible when you believe. And as Mckenzie was saying and Josh was saying, you have to put the work in. You have to believe that you have earned the right and that you'll do what it takes from a sacrifice or determination standpoint to win, because winning is really hard. And that's why I get so excited seeing them with their medals, because it's just a lot of hard work. Yeah. And not only that, it takes a lot of luck. And you have to be in the right place at the right time. But you know what? When you look back at it, I don't think there's any of us who have ever won a gold medal who didn't realize that they earned it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, because the girls look so proud. I was watching, when you got your medal, your gold medal, and the girls that won silver and bronze. I mean, they're also extremely proud. I think that was the girl that won bronze was fourth in the last, right? So she was,
yeah, that was such an incredible moment. I'll never forget that. So, I hit the wall on the 4 and the 3. I look up, I see that I've won, and I'm like, wow, that's really amazing and incredible. But I found myself, I had 2 other teammates in that race. And literally the first thing that I did once I processed that thought, I was like, okay, where are they? Where did they finish? How did we do? And when I saw that my teammate, Julia Gaffney, won bronze, I think that's when it hit me. And I started bawling, and I went over and I hugged her. But it was that moment where I think I also realized these relationships that I formed will last a lifetime. And gold medals and being on the podium is an incredible honor, but these friendships are everything. And I was so happy for her. I mean, talk about redemption from the day before, and to stand up there alongside your teammate, that's something you never forget.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so I have one final question, and it's for all of you. you've been around the world, you've been to lots of different countries, and you've met people from all over the world. I'm curious to find out how different cultures treat people with disabilities, whether that's good or bad, like the infrastructure, how they hold, like we have the Americans with Disabilities Act. I know I've been to Europe a couple of times. I haven't been all over the world, but I know I find things to be a lot more accessible here. But I'm curious about each of your experiences and how other cultures handle disability. And we'll start with Mckenzie.
I think I'm really proud to be an American, and obviously to be protected by the ADA and have that in place is a really incredible thing, because traveling the world, you realize it's not the same everywhere else. People don't always have those same opportunities, people with disabilities. And, to be from the United States and to be valued here as a member of society who contributes is something really important to me. And to have infrastructure that is accessible, that's something that you can't find in every part of the world. So it definitely makes me proud to be an American. And, it's not to say, I think there's always challenges that come along, and I think there's always room for progress, but that's what we keep moving forward towards. And I think every single step, and especially you look at the Paralympics this year and the coverage that we got, think about all of that exposure. And I think that just adds to it here in the US. What people bring to the table who have disabilities, they can be contributing members of society. And it just makes me proud to be an American, be protected by the ADA, and have these opportunities here.
I see our disabilities as an asset in so many ways. Like we fight a little harder for everything we do, and that makes us great employees as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. And I think the things that we've been through, the challenges that we face with our disabilities only make us stronger. So I think we're some of the strongest and toughest people out there, and obviously the most capable.
Yeah, we'll work harder and longer, and all that stuff. Okay, Josh, same question.
I think that was really well said by Mckenzie. I've been lucky enough to have lived in Europe, and I've gotten to basically play basketball on all the continents of Earth. And I think I agree with what she says, to reiterate that I think that when you go abroad, it makes you appreciate being an American and what we do have here. Things aren't perfect, just like with the Paralympic movement, we're not where we want to be, but we're moving in the right direction. I can tell you that, I've been into, third world countries and second world countries where, as a member, individual that's disabled or in a wheelchair, they're completely ostracized from society. And, you're looked at as a complete social pariah. Oh my God, what is this individual in a wheelchair doing out in public? And, I've been in other areas where every single bathroom is inaccessible. Every single public place is inaccessible with stairs. And so it is a beautiful thing in America where we have the ADA and we are protected. And, we do have freedom of travel and access to public places and bathrooms. And I feel like year after year, it gets better and better. And I think that's what we should focus on is, again, we're not where we want to be. We are not perfect. But America is a beautiful place, and the ADA is a beautiful thing, and we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Jim, your thoughts?
Well, having traveled the world, you really get to feel and understand how lucky we are to be an American, and how fortunate we are to be in this country. And so, as Mckenzie and Josh said, everybody's a pioneer to make something a little better. Things are getting better. They might not be happening as fast as they want, but when you look around, you realize that we're really fortunate to be here.
This has been like an honor of a lifetime. I don't really know how to explain it. I feel like I've been on like just the short part of the journey anyway with Josh and Mckenzie, like before they left and all during, and I couldn't be more happy for you. I couldn't be more proud. That we're all part of the New Ocean family is really, really a special thing. So thanks for spending some time with us. I know you're exhausted and there's a lot of people that still want to congratulate you. So we'll let you guys get back to celebrating, but thank you so much.
Yeah. And I just want to say how much I enjoyed meeting both of you. And, once an Olympian, always an Olympian, and the part that's great about it is, Josh, you're just going to enter a different chapter on how you're going to be great in helping other people. And Mckenzie, you're doing it. And so just keep believing what you can do, feel the value that you have. And, like Karen, awesome job tonight. And so I'm really proud of you guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
It's a real honor and a real pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, take a bite, make a shit real. Let me say,
Yeah, right.
that's what we all do, right?
Right.